the fuck, everyone? This is JDOG back with part 2 of my Survival of the Dead review. Where I left off on part 1 is right where Crockett and his band of thugs, they showed up at the docks, and O'Flynn and his guys, they started getting into a gunfight. So it was decided the only way that they could escape the kind of ambush that they had, because O'Flynn and his guys had TNT in the ground and shit like that, there was no way out. So they swam out to the ferry boat, brought it back, and that kind of snuck away from O'Flynn and his guys. Most of them got killed, actually, in the battle, and as they're leaving the ferry boat, O'Flynn, he, like, what the fuck are you going to do? All his boys are gone, so he jumps onto the ferry boat, and Crockett and his guys, they're not bad. They decide, what the fuck, we'll bring you along, you can show us at least where to go. So they get to the island, finally, and upon arriving at the island, in kind of like the lagoon, they find all these bodies laying in the water. They're like, what the fuck's up with this? Like, they don't seem to have been eaten by the deadheads, is what they call them in this. Not zombies or anything, it's deadheads in this movie, is the main theme for the zombies, the main term used. And it was noticed that these people, they were all shot, execution style. And that's when O'Flynn realized, he's like, oh fuck, these are the people that I had lured into the docks and sent out to this island. So, yeah, Muldoon, he's just a badass fucker. He's like, if they ain't kin of mine, they don't matter, more or less what he said. So he was just killing all these strangers that were showing up at the island because it's his safe place. He's a greedy motherfucker. He don't want to share it with anyone. So this really pissed off, like, Crockett. He was like, well, I want a fucking piece of this guy. If this is the kind of fucking sleazy shit he's pulling off, and if this is what he's all about, he's like, I'm all about taking him down. So Muldoon, he goes to track down some kinfolk, goes and wrangles up a bunch of inbred Delawareans, I guess, and yeah, they decide we're gonna go fuck over Muldoon and take down whatever he's trying to do. As they're going along, you notice like zombies chained up, like the mailman, and there's a zombie chained up that's chopping wood. Well, it seems Muldoon, he's been experimenting with all these different zombies on the island, finding which one's got more intelligence than the other, and seeing if he can kind of put them back to some kind of way of their normal life. And the ones that don't cooperate, well, he just shoots them, as seen at the part at his zombie ranch, I guess you could say. So, yeah, they go along, like, Tomboy's kidnapped by Muldoon and his goons, and they kind of do, they were going to do an exchange, but, yeah, that kind of all went to the haywire. Right around this time is where we're introduced to O'Flynn's daughter, that comes riding in on a horse, and you're like, okay, who's this chick cruising? And then you notice, this bitch is a fucking zombie. What's she doing riding a horse? Yeah, that was a little hokey to me, but I guess you've, like Fisher said in Dawn of the Dead, he's seen a zombie driving a car, so you also see a zombie driving a car in this, but he doesn't get very far. So, I think Romero's hinted in the past, in his other movies, that these dead do, like even in Dawn of the Dead, they say that they remain some normal thoughts of normal life, and like the basic use of tools and stuff are still into effect with these zombies. So this is like a whole new Romero universe, so he's kind of expanding on it. Like, it started with Bub being able to do certain things. Like, you seen Bub use a gun and people had no problem with that, so I don't know what the big hubbub is about. You never know, a zombie might be able to, once it gets up on the horse, might be able to ride it, but it was still just a little too hokey for me. But anyway, Muldoon, he figures that this zombie, hey, if it can ride a horse, maybe I can trick it to eating like a horse, a pig, chicken, some shit other than people anyway. So that's kind of his scheme, and as this is all going down, like, shit kind of erupts at the end. Like, you see O'Flynn and Crockett and all those guys, they get into a big shootout with Muldoon and his goons. When they realize that he has his daughter there and stuff, that pisses off O'Flynn. And yeah, there's like the big zombie gore fest here, like where the zombies are released from the pen, because the guy that was like kind of the ranch hand for Muldoon, he didn't really like Muldoon. He was being muscled into doing stupid shit, so as soon as he seen there was other guys there, he went to side with them, but Muldoon shot him. So kind of all like Miguel in Day of the Dead, he released all the dead from the corral, like, kind of, fuck you want to shoot me in the back? Well, here, I'll just sick all these zombies on you. So that kind of brings about this whole gore fest that's going on. And some of the effects weren't bad, like when the guys are getting torn apart and stuff. I didn't mind it. Like, I don't know why this film gets as much bad press as it does. I enjoyed it. I know I'm a huge Romero mark, but I went into it with an open mind. Like I can honestly say I don't really like Diary of the Dead as much as the other films, but I enjoyed this quite a bit. I'm sure the acting could have been a little better, the story, stuff like that, but all in all, it was a pretty decent watch. Anyway, getting back to the film, like, all this shit goes down. The Muldoon, he gets shot. O'Flynn gets shot. O'Flynn's last remaining daughter gets bitten by the other one. That was the zombie. Yeah, she notices her sister. She's like, hey, she recognizes me, and she goes over to talk to her. And, well, yeah, sure, the zombie's all like, at first, and as soon as you get close enough, fucking thing took a bite right out of her hand. So, just goes to show they can't be trusted. They're sneaky motherfuckers, them zombies. So yeah, like, all in all, that's about the basic film. I don't want to give away too much because I've already pretty much give you a play-by-play of the whole film. Yeah, Crockett and his guys, they decide they're just going to leave the island after all this shit goes down. And like, we're just going to take our money and we're just going to run. We're going to go see what else we can find. So that's about it for Survival of the Dead. I don't know. Where to rate it? I'd rate it just below Land of the Dead as far as like on the dead meter for me. Like, I know a lot of people, the last 3 Dead films, they take a lot of criticism, and I've been doing a lot of thinking about this. Like, what could it be that's not quite the same with George as it was in like the 70s, 60s, and then the 80s and stuff? Could it be like the people that are working with him now? Like, you notice a lot of these films, like back with the first original 3 Dead films, like there was a reoccurring theme with like the crew and stuff. Like, you had the Boobas, and you had Michael Groenick was on the camera all the time. Savini, Nicotero, where someone was always doing the effects. Romero used a lot of actors from like theater, like from the Lady Asterix theater and stuff. Like, that was just a good group of actors. Like, they just had a lot better acting ability. And then back then, movies were a lot cheaper to be made, so like Romero can afford probably better acting talent on the budget that he had. Like, now, I'm sure these budgets aren't that big, and like with the cost of CGI and stuff, that's probably what a lot of the budget's being put towards. Like, sure, practical effects are a little more nowadays, but like, this is Romero, for Christ's sakes. Like, I'm sure there would be people willing to cut the rate just to work on a Romero film and make it what it should be. Like, I don't know, I've been putting a lot of thought into that. Like, as much as I don't like Rubinstein and stuff, maybe he had some kind of influence in there. Like, I'm sure you had Christine Romero back in those days when George was coming up with a stupid idea, give him a slap in the back of the head, and been like, she was assistant director on Dawn of the Dead and stuff, so I'm sure she had some kind of say, like, on the way these films went. And I don't know, what it might be like just a whole change in like the Romero crew, like working with different people, people not as dedicated to making the films that George wants to make. Like, these people back then, like, they would have took a bullet for George, a lot of them. And there's probably just not the dedication there from his crew and stuff anymore. I don't know. That's what I think anyway. Because I think the ideas George has and stuff, they're still really good ideas. They just haven't been executed 100% as good as they could be. But anyway, that's my 2 bits. I know I've already gone on like 18 minutes on this review, and so I hope you guys enjoyed it. I haven't done a review in a while, but I just thought this is something that needed to be said, and I just wanted to kind of take a little bit of the heat off of Survival of the Dead, and maybe people can enjoy it for the things I enjoyed it for, and some of my thoughts might rub off on you guys. You can take them in when you watch this movie, and maybe try to enjoy it somewhat like I did. But anyway, this is JDOG for JDOG'S DVD Dungeon, saying watch horror, support George Romero's Survival of the Dead, support Canadian Fur-Ox podcast show, join our message board, and buy our t-shirts. Yeah, we're whores for publicity, so buy our stuff and watch Survival of the Dead. Peace.